Hello there, running-ears. It's Manny again, and what a magical weekend we just had. So I'm going to go ahead and recap that. I'm going to start with the expo, go on to the runs, the after party. I'm going to go over some stuff that wasn't so good, the good, and then the magical. So we are going to get to it very soon. So if you haven't already, guys, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way when the videos come out, you're going to get this information. Again, I think that the season's going to be ramping up. We're going to have a lot of information. As a matter of fact, last week, right before the run, we had 2 of the runs announced. I touched on them very lightly, but I think the rest of them are going to be coming out soon. So that's why I'm not going to talk about them now, because we're going to talk about them in the very, very near future. And I got some other updates at the very end. But please subscribe to the channel, share this information with all your friends, anybody who needs a little bit of just a little boost just for more information about Run Disney. Please share this channel. We really appreciate it. Subscriptions are up, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. But let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we're going to start with the expo. The expo was the first day. That was on a Thursday. We had the virtual queue. We got in right away. We got group 4, so we were able to get in pretty quickly. So we were able to see all the merchandise. Of course, I recorded it. If you want to see all the merchandise, this is just some of it that it had there. But if you want to see the rest of it, please take a look at that video. It's been out for about a week now, so you guys can see exactly what it was. So you can get an idea of what the merchandise area looks like. So, but as far as I knew, we were able to get a whole bunch of stuff. I had to return a few things because I overbought, which is not a rarity, especially when it comes to like Wine and Dine. It's a great run. So, but what we did do is we went back on day 3 and we figured out that there was still a whole bunch of merchandise. That was kind of weird, but still there was a whole bunch of merchandise on day 3. As a matter of fact, I'll share this story with you. One of my friends needed an extra small shirt. She could not get it on day 1. Went back on day 3, it was there. So some people returned it. Maybe they had some stock in the back that they brought out, but she was able to get that shirt. So that might give you guys a glimpse of hope in case you're thinking that I'm not going to make it till day 3, but we were able to get some. Now also on day 3, the bib pickup was really, really quick. We just went over there to look. The lines for the characters were not as long. I know they had a little bit of problem with, there was one area where you were supposed to take a picture and there was supposed to be a magic shot with the chef, I believe, and a lot of people did not get it. They got another magic shot, but it wasn't the chef. And then when you went to the regular expo to pick up your shirt, and then where all the merchandise or all the other merchandise was and stuff, there was hardly any lines. There was a lot of stuff that you could buy, so it wasn't that bad on day 3. Day 1 was really, really packed. And usually early on it is. Later in the day, it usually dies down a little bit more. And they even close the virtual queue at one point. I think it was there by 3 o'clock, from my understanding, between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon of day 1. So you had about 4 or 5 hours that you could just walk in. You just had to get in line. And a lot of times I'm going to be sure, I'm going to say this with some assurances, there probably wasn't some line at times, but you had to get in line, and if there was no line, they just let you walk in. But that was day 1, and that was the expo. So day 2 was the 5K, so we're going to go over starting with the chef. I'm going to start showing you guys the medals. So in case you weren't there, the medal, it's a regular one. It's the Swedish chef. This was really, really cool. And so the Swedish chef was there. He was there with the Masters of Ceremony, which was John Pelkey and Carissa Galloway. He was there. He was entertaining us. It was so, so cool. It was just awesome to be out there. The 5K is one of those that is not timed. It's the only runs at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, any of the Run Disney events that are not timed. It's the age group is 5 and older, so there was a lot of young ones. I love seeing the young ones getting active. They're out there having a good time. It just was a lot of fun. I started in my corral for that one. So we ran, finished. There was only about 4 character stops on that day. That was about the only thing. Those lines were super, super long. So I just said, I'm just going to wait. And I'm pretty sure that the lines would get shorter as the weekend progressed. And that was true. Later in the day, we went and did our, so later that morning, actually, we went and did our fundraiser. So we were at Animal Kingdom, had to ride Triceratops spins 16 times. I got to do that 16 times. So it was a lot of fun, but yes, you get dizzy. Now, the last day that you can ride it is January 12th. which is going to be marathon weekend. It's the last day of the marathon. So I might meet up with some people if they ever want to go with me, and we're going to get on Triceratops Bend a few times, maybe not 16 times, but a few times there. but we were also able to do It's Tough to Be a Bug twice. We just did it twice because it's a long way to walk around, and we had to run the next day, so we did it twice. We decided to take a break and went on Adventure Everest, or Expedition Everest. And that was the first time ever we got evacuated from the ride. It was pretty close to the finish line, so we had to get off and walk around, and I did this thing where I was looking around going like, where am I? Backstage, so forth and so on. It wasn't very funny, but it was pretty cool. And then we went to ride Dinosaur. We got to ride that 5 times, and after a while, it was easier walk on after the first time. It was a lot of fun. We got to do Dinosaur. We got to pose for some pictures. That was really, really cool. So that was a lot of fun. But that was that was everything that happened day 2. So day 2 was a 10K, and I'll show you the medal. Here is the medal. It is a back spinner, so the back spins right here with the fork and the knife. With Tiana, looks so cool. Wanted to show you that medal. Put it down. But it was so great. So one of the bigger changes that they did in this race versus previous years is that they had 5 corrals. Technically, they had 5 corrals, A, B, C, D, and E. But there was a big but, because D and E were broken into 3 corrals each. So they all were color coded. So they had a color to each one. D had 1, 2, and 3. E had 1, 2, and 3. Whatever the colors were, red, white, and blue, whatever it was. So you got in there. Since I was starting in the back with the balloon ladies, didn't matter to me. I was just kind of hanging out. Once the last group started going, that's when I went. Again, if you want to see the video is up. So I started right back over there. It was cool. It became pretty warm pretty quickly, especially once the sun comes out. A lot more characters. I only got to get 4 pictures, and a lot of those were group pictures. And I'm going to go into that real shortly. But what happens is, I think it's my fault too, because I've been telling people over and over, and even in these videos, that whenever I start in the back, one of the added bonuses is that I can, as soon as we're about 100 yards away, they say, balloon ladies, 1 minute behind you, something like that, and people will take off. So I just jog up there, run up there. I'm able to get pictures with the characters. And so guess what? A lot of people were hanging back there, and they were all doing the same thing. But there is a shining light of what's going on, and I think to myself, this was a great idea. People started inviting me in, and then I started doing the same thing too. But they were nice enough to invite me in to take group pictures. And I thought to myself, this is a good way of making friends, runDisney friends, expanding the runDisney family. I was so honored and blessed that a lot of these people, we were standing in line, and all of a sudden they go, come in. And so I was able to run in there and take some pictures with them. These are great people that I've gotten to know over the years. Some of them are new, but it was so great. It was, again, the run was good. I stayed with the balloon ladies on and off, mainly for about the first 5 miles. And after that, I kind of started jogging and forgot about it. And then when I turned, they were gone. I was able to get a little bit ahead. But overall, it seemed like a pretty good race. But that was a 10K. So now we're getting to the half marathon, and of course I'm going to show the medal. It is, well, that's Emil on one side, Remy on the other side, so it's an inner spinner, and the outside stays the same, but it's really cool because they got the fork and the knife. Half marathon, this is a great medal. I'm going to put it down again. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about that one. So that one was the same thing with the corrals. They had the breakdown. So each D and E had 3 different corrals that you went in there. And to piggyback a little bit more, give a little bit more information on that, it seemed like the earlier you were able to get one once it got filled. Then they went to the second one, then they went to the third one. So that's what they did for D and E, okay? So this is a race that I call deceivingly cool at the beginning. Deceivingly cool because it felt cool enough to where people were wearing longer sleeves. But once the sun came out, and the sun came out pretty quick, it got warm and it got hot. A lot of people overheated. I don't know if it was they just took off too fast. But I stayed with the balloon ladies for about the first 3 miles. I actually had to start running because I wanted to get the virtual queue for Cosmic Rewind, and I was able to run ahead. I was able to get a little bit ahead, and I was able to get my virtual queue, and then I just decided to keep going. But then I was able to get about 10 pictures. That was the greatest thing. So I was able to get some pictures, and then all of a sudden I was getting a picture. And once I was leaving, one of the people came and said, hey, I thought you were about to leave, whatever. Anyways, it was a mix-up, and they kept thinking they could join me, but I was already leaving, so they took their picture. So I stopped and waited for them, and I actually started telling them, hey, next time you see me, and you guys can come in. Please do, come in, take a picture with me. So I started inviting people to take pictures with me, and little by little it became a little bit more. It was so cool to get these groups of people. Again, we made some new friends, new runDisney friends. It was awesome. It was great. Shows a camaraderie. So it was awesome. Now, it did get hot for a few people. I was chit-chatting with some of them. They started slowing down at the end, and then I'll go ahead and talk about a couple of cases later on when I'm talking about the not so good, the good, and the magical, because there's some cool stories what happened there. But again, it got super hot pretty quickly. So this just shows you, and you can watch the videos, this just shows you to, when you're doing your training, understand that it could be a little bit warmer at Disney. It usually is in Florida, Central Florida. So especially if you're training in the north, somewhere in the north, it's going to be a lot cooler. It's going to be a lot colder. Then you're going to get there, and it's going to be an eye-opening experience because it's going to be a lot warmer, and so you're not used to it. But again, some people struggle with them. I have some stories about that shortly. So the last thing I want to say about the runs is I'm going to actually show you this. This is the challenge medal, and look at this 10K Tiana right here. If I spin it around, there is Remy with the half marathon, and of course Mickey the challenge medal. So this is the challenge medal. So cool, right? I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And so by my calculations, I have run 962.9 magical miles at Disney. Those are live miles at either Disney World or Disneyland. So come January, I should be passing 1,000 miles. So that would be a really cool milestone. I have some ideas that I'll share with you guys as time goes by. But what is your magical mile number? Do you have? A lot of people count, and I saw even the guy that starts in the back with us, Dennis, was awesome. He has 150. He ran his 150th runDisney event this past weekend. I don't count the events. I think I'm up to about 80 or 90. But I count the miles. That's one thing that I did. So that's something a little bit different that I do that other people do. But I thought of doing something cool with that. So that's going to be in upcoming videos. But how many magical miles have you run? And this is live magical miles. So I haven't released the video of the after party, and I did record a few things. I'm gonna send this one out first. It's kind of gonna be weird, but in the next couple of days, I actually will send out the after party video so you guys can get an idea. But just to give you an idea, I believe there was 13 characters around World Showcase. Some of them were in the front. We got to see Sweetums, but Sweetums kind of was like Winnie the Pooh. He was walking around, so you had to take a selfie, and he was behind you. So he actually did that on the course also. But there was other picture opportunities in front of Spaceship Earth, so you can go in there and get your picture taken. And of course, if you had the photo pass, you were able to get all these photographs. They also sold a special pin that I did not buy, and from my understanding, it was a pretty cool pin. One of the friends of the channels went ahead and bought it and showed it to me. It was $40 for any mere mortal. But for the people that have an annual pass or DVC, it was actually $32, and you had to stand in line. But I noticed that the line went away pretty quickly. It was a long line to begin with, and then later in the night, you could just walk in and get it. So I'm either assumed they had more of them, or not a lot of people bought them. But it was actually a pretty cool medal. I don't regret not getting it, but it was not one of those that is on my list, so I was okay with not getting it. So, and the 4 rides that were open were Soaring. It was also Frozen Ever After, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and of course Cosmic Rewind. Cosmic Rewind starting at it opened up at about 9:20, 9:30, and it had basically a standby queue. For a while there, it got to be about an hour. I know later in the night, I think it would get shorter, then longer, then shorter, then longer. And so, but just to give you an idea, I was just so tired that about 11:30, I just left. I was just so tired, just from everything the whole weekend. It was an awesome weekend, but I left at 11:30. Some people left that I knew about an hour after that, and I think it dies down at about 12:30, so it's not as packed. But even then, from my understanding, is they closed the standby line at about 12:20-ish, 12:30-ish for Cosmic Rewind, because I believe it was over an hour long at that time. At that time, you also got to remember, cast members have to go home and rest also. I think they do give them a little bit of slack time afterward. But again, they don't want to be there till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with these lines, these outrageous lines. So, but the after party was awesome. I was just a little tired. So now let's talk about what was bad or not so good about the run, and then we're going to transition into the good stuff and then the magical stuff. So we'll start off with bad. So bad for sure was the weather, especially the last day. It got got unseasonably warm after a while. I know a lot of people were not prepared for it. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, next year it's going to be a week earlier, so it might be warmer. But the problem is we don't know. It's one of those, I always do this. I have no idea what it's going to be like. So some years it's been cooler, some years it's been warmer. Let's just hope that next year it'll actually be a little bit cooler and stay cooler. That was the important part. Remember, I use that word, deceivingly cool. So we hope that it stays cooler a little bit longer so that more people can enjoy it, especially when they come from training in colder weather. So another thing we need to work on is running etiquette. It was not horrible, but it wasn't perfect. I know it had been getting a little bit better, but overall it wasn't. So what I attribute this to is a lot of people are brand new to this. They're overwhelmed because they see all the characters, they want to stop, they want to do stuff. So I understand, and I understand walking. But one person really went online and they went on a rant about runners. And so they said, hey, I understand, maybe I don't know why you're behind us, but we're walking and they're weaving through. This is not the first time. So a couple of things that I want to talk about is this. Number one, it's called runDisney. So just remember that it's a run. So walkers are encouraged to come and join us. I encourage walkers to do it. If you can walk the whole thing and you can do it in time, great, that's fantastic. But move over, give at least a little bit of a lane. Again, I have video, so I'm running with my camera and I'm doing this a lot of times because I'm trying to stay on the left, but it's clogged up. And so that again is not always 100% people's fault. They just need to find a way to move over and maybe make a lane, especially in the wide areas or the medium-sized areas, because once you get to the wide areas, then you can do it. But the medium-sized area, a lane or two, so that runners can run there. And remember, people run at different speeds also. And then be courteous to others. Do not stop. It happened again where somebody just stops right in front of you. They do not raise their hand. They do not do anything. They just stop. And the worst thing you can do, which I really didn't experience it this time, is when they stop and then turn right back into you. Remember, when you do that, that's on you, not on the person behind you. It's just like you don't turn without a signal. You don't just go back right into another car. That's going to be something that's not that very smart. And if you run into somebody, which is something that I have heard about and I have seen the aftermath, you can get hurt seriously. I actually witnessed somebody later on, they broke their leg because somebody ran right into them. So that's not a good thing. So running etiquette is another thing we got to work on, but we are getting better. So another thing that I'm going to talk about that we really need to work on is watch what you post on social media. I did read a post where somebody didn't do as well as they thought they were going to do, and they actually put something that was false. And I can tell you this, it's false because I have video proof of it. And it was that they were swept by the balloon ladies. First of all, the balloon ladies cannot sweep anybody. They are more encouragers. They do sometimes tell you, hey, there is a hard sweep coming up, but it's more of a warning so that way you know to stay ahead of them. But somebody put on there, so people started attacking the balloon ladies. The balloon ladies have nothing to do with sweeping. This is an example of something that people put out, then people get scared, people start hating, and there is no reason to do this. The balloon ladies are fantastic, they're magical. If you go with them and you experience what I have, they are magical people. They sit there and they actually encourage you. They do everything that you can. They start telling you to swing your arms. They're basically running coaches while you're out there. So they tell you what to do, but they have a job to do, and it's just basically to be the final pacers. The people that tell you are the bikers behind you. They are the ones that make the final determination. They're the ones that tell you, yes, you're going to have to get on the bus. Yes, you have been swept. But the balloon ladies have nothing to do with this. So please, please, please be careful with what you post. Yeah, I know sometimes you get emotional, you get angry, and that's okay. But that's what I tell you. Reach out to me, vent with me, and that's fine. But please, please, please don't put something false online, because it can lead to more hatred, more anger towards a group of people that have nothing to do with that. So now we're going to transition to the good. So, and this is going to be one of those that's good but okay, but all right, the new course. And so we ran through World Showcase at the beginning. I don't mind it because it's lit up. I love watching Epcot and World, especially World Showcase when it's dark, when it's completely lit up. It's just beautiful to see. The lighting is really, really cool. It's enough to where you can see where you're going. but things look different. It's so cool. So I didn't 100% mind it, but I do appreciate it at the very end, and I'll tell you why. I have gotten over the years so used to running, and this is the end. So I'm running around World Showcase. It's usually a character or two, and it's really cool because you get to see the people from around the world. You get to see people coming in to the parks a lot of times, especially during the marathon. So they're still cheering you on. That's pretty cool. And I understand why they changed it. I'm not going to get into that, but I understand why they changed it, but I still would prefer at the very end. But one good thing they did do was they shortened it. We come back in and we run through a little bit of Epcot, but they had more characters. So that was actually, I think at one point in the video I was saying, yeah, we'll probably see another 2 characters, and I think it was 4 that we saw. So that was the other thing that they added. So that kind of balanced it out. I still say I would prefer that we run through World Showcase at the end. But what did you guys who ran it think? Did you think that we should have run at World Showcase at the end? Did you like the change and run through World Showcase at the beginning? And now we're gonna start transitioning from the good to the magical. And the first thing I gotta say is, if you guys watch my videos of the runs, I always record the national anthem. So for the 5K, I believe it was played on a saxophone, and it was so beautiful. So it was, the melody was just so great. You were just sitting there. It was perfectly done. It was a good time, so they didn't go over time playing, but it was so good. I really invite you to go and watch the 5K video just at the beginning, because I'm going to go from my hotel going all the way there, you know, the staging area. But pretty early in the video is going to be the national anthem, so you can check it out for yourself. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about was magical was the characters. There was a lot of characters, especially as the weekend went on. So by the half marathon, there was a lot of characters. And I want to especially thank Sean. Sean invited me into the 10K to take some pictures with them. And I thought it was so cool. I got to see these pictures with Run Disney friends and family. And it was so cool. By the next day, again, that's when I started learning about, hey, invite people in. So we started inviting people in. I think it's something that everybody should experience it. You know what? You make friends that way. You make some lifelong friends possibly, but at least some Run Disney friends. And so I thought to me that was one of the magical things that you guys continue to teach me. So I thought that was really cool. We got to have pictures with a bunch of different people. So the next thing that was so magical was the theming. We had for the 10K, we had Tiana, which was awesome, and I love the medal. We already showed it to you. We had Remy for the half marathon. Remy is always a cool character, especially when they're with a meal. And of course, Chef Mickey for the challenge medal. But people out there, so the Muppets made their debut in the run. So we had the Swedish Chef for the first time. So what about maybe for the next time in Run Disney, if you're watching, Animal! I think that would be a great one for the next one. What do you guys think? Is there another character out there? Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, maybe, I don't know. There's so many of them that, you know, they could do a whole run with them. That's a cool thing. And I really love the Muppet theming. So the next thing to me that was magical, and I always talk about this, and this is no exception. As a matter of fact, to me, it just seems to get better and better every time, is meeting you guys, interacting with you guys. And it's at the airport, it's at the resort, it's in the parks, it's before the runs, it's during the runs, it's after the run, it's at the after party, just on down the line. And it just, to me, it makes my whole trip so magical. It is so much fun. Just getting to interact with you guys, talking to you, you know, just interacting with you, just, you know, telling stories. It's so much fun, and I get to learn a lot from you guys. So guys, continue to share your stories with me. I actually started thinking about, from now on, I'm going to try to encourage you guys that when we're on the run, when we're on the course, if you guys want to come out live, because a couple of people did this, please come up, say hello to your family and friends, encourage them to maybe join us one of these days, but please come up and say hello. That was another thing that was so magical. So the last thing I want to talk about was athletes with disabilities. They are so special, so awesome. I actually want to change them to athletes with magical abilities. I think that's a better name, especially when you see them out there, you see what they're doing. It is amazing. Share a quick story that one of the people who ran was in a wheelchair the last 0.1 miles. They got out of the wheelchair, they went through it. I wasn't there live. I now regret that I didn't see that live. I was able to watch the video. It was so amazing to watch. It was such a just an inspirational thing to witness, and you get to see this. And this happens at every race, but for some reason or another at Run Disney, again, because there's so many more stories coming through, and Riley Claremont, who's one of the guys who interviews people, and actually he interviews the people there, does a fantastic job. And I love, if you haven't already, listened to the stories. They're so magical, they're so inspiring, and I love what Riley does. He brings people in, and so now you get to know the stories, and then you get to say, man, they overcame so much, I can do this to myself. And then you share that story with your friends and family, and now they want to do it, and that's so cool. And that's the whole magical thing about it. But from now on, I'm just going to say athletes with magical abilities. So that's it for Wine and Dine. But next week we will come back where our regular videos, we're going to have a lot of stuff that's going to be coming up. So we got probably the rest of the season is going to be brought out pretty soon, since we have registration coming up later on this month for the Halloween run at Disneyland. I'm pretty sure that the theming is going to come out pretty soon, and that might be followed, it's going to be followed by a lot of different things, because we got right after that Disney World Marathon, and then we got Disneyland Half Marathon. So there's a lot of stuff going on, so a lot of news are going to be going on. So like I said, please subscribe to the channel. We have our first sponsor. It's Coach Nick. I am going to leave the link down below. Coach Nick is fantastic. He lives in Orlando. He lives in the Orlando area, I should say. So he is local. This is one thing that I cannot share with you guys that he can. So if you're thinking about hiring a coach, I will put the link down below. He will give you a discount if you use the code that I'm putting down below. So just use this code, so he'll give you the discount, and part of the proceeds are going to go to a charity. But let me tell you, if you get a coach, a running coach that as good as Coach Nick is, the other added bonus is that he is down there, so he can give you advice on, hey, this is what the weather looks like. This is the trend that is going on. I often reach out to him and ask him about the trends. So he is really good. So if you're looking at getting a certified running coach, please look at the link down below. Use the promo code to get 15% off, and magical luck, because Coach Nick is awesome. So now I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Those of you who did the run, what was your favorite part? Did you like the new course? Did you like the medals? Did you like the theming? Was there something magical that you want to share with us? Please do that down below. That's going to be something that we might add to this channel later on, just sharing some magical stories. But without further ado, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being who you are. Create a magical day. Create a magical run. And guys, see you sooner than later.